They always think you'll stay, don't they? They assume you'll be the one to bend, to forgive, to patch the cracks they keep making. They underestimate the quiet strength of someone who's had enough. And that's their greatest folly. You see, they thought they had you wrapped around their finger like a puppet on their stage. But this time the string snapped. This time you walked away. And that's the plot twist they never saw coming. It's funny how they believed your kindness was infinite, like a well that could never run dry. They mistook your patience for weakness, your forgiveness for foolishness. But what they didn't realize is that even the most forgiving hearts have limits. And when you reached yours, you didn't explode in anger, didn't scream or shout. No, you left in silence. That silence, oh, it's deafening for them now. And now they're scrambling, trying to piece together what went wrong. They'll never admit that it was their own actions, their own arrogance, their own inability to value what they had. They'll paint themselves as the victims, spin stories to soothe their fragile egos. But deep down, in the quiet hours of the night, they'll know. They'll know it was them who pushed too far, too often, until there was nothing left to give. You see, they relied on your softness, your willingness to forgive. They thought you'd always be there, no matter how many times they hurt you. But every time they crossed a line, they were etching a tally mark into your soul. And when that final mark was made, you knew it was time to go. And now they're left staring at the empty space you once filled, wondering how they could have been so blind. Regret is a funny thing. It creeps up on people like them when they least expect it. They'll go about their days pretending they're fine, pretending they're unbothered. But then something, a song, a smell, a fleeting memory will hit them like a freight train. And in that moment, they'll realize the gravity of their loss. But by then, it'll be too late. You're gone, and you're not looking back. They'll call it a shock, act as if your departure came out of nowhere. But you and I both know the truth. It wasn't sudden, it was a long time coming. They just weren't paying attention. They ignored the signs, dismissed your pain, and now they're paying the price. That's the thing about taking someone for granted. It only works until they decide they're done. And oh, the excuses they'll make. They'll say they didn't mean it, that they were just having a bad day, a bad month, a bad year. They'll claim they didn't realize how much they were hurting you. But those excuses? They don't hold water anymore. You gave them chance after chance, opportunity after opportunity to change, and they squandered every single one. The truth is, they never thought you'd leave because they couldn't imagine a world where they weren't the center of your universe. Their ego blinded them to the reality that you are your own universe, a force to be reckoned with. And now that you've taken your light away, they're left in the dark, fumbling, lost. Let them sit in that darkness. Let them feel the weight of your absence, because every time they disrespected you, every time they dismissed your feelings, they were setting this moment into motion, and now they're reaping what they sowed. Call it karma, call it justice, call it whatever you like. But it's theirs to bear, not yours. And you're finally free. Free from the cycle of pain and apology, free from the constant second-guessing. You've reclaimed your power, and there's no turning back. They may think they can lure you in with promises of change, but you know better. You know those promises are empty, just like the apologies they threw at you like scraps. What they don't realize is that your departure was an act of self-love. It was you choosing yourself over the chaos they brought into your life. And that choice, it's the most powerful thing you've ever done. It's the moment you stopped being their punching bag and started being your own protector. They'll try to convince themselves that you'll come back, that this is just another fight, another temporary separation. But they're wrong. This time is different. This time you've seen through their facade. You've seen the pattern for what it is, and you've decided you deserve better. And oh, how that realization terrifies them. You see, they thrived on the power they thought they had over you. It made them feel important, invincible. But now that power is gone, stripped away by your decision to walk away. And without it, they're left with nothing but their own insecurities, their own flaws, staring back at them in the mirror. Let them dwell in their regret. Let them wrestle with the consequences of their actions. It's not your job to fix them, to save them from themselves. You've done enough, given enough, sacrificed enough. It's time to pour that energy into yourself, into your healing, your growth, your future. And make no mistake, they'll feel your absence in ways they never expected. They'll search for you in every person they meet, hoping to find a shred of what they lost. But people like you, you're one of a kind, irreplaceable. And that's a reality they'll have to live with for the rest of their lives. They thought you were a safety net, always there to catch them when they fell. But now they're falling, and there's no one there to break their descent. And that's the lesson they'll carry with them, that they had something extraordinary and let it slip through their fingers. And as they sit in the ruins of what they once took for granted, the realization hits them harder than any punishment ever could. It's not just regret, they're haunted by the void you left behind. They'll try to mask it, of course. They'll post smiles for the world to see, pretend they're unaffected. But in their quiet moments, when the distractions fade, the truth will claw its way to the surface. You were the constant in their chaos, the light they dimmed without a second thought. And now, they're drowning in their own darkness. They'll retrace every step, replay every word they spoke in their arrogance, and wonder how they let it all crumble. But the irony is that they didn't let it crumble, it was their own hands that tore it apart. They were so caught up in their selfish games, their need to feel superior, that they didn't notice the cracks forming beneath them. And now those cracks have swallowed them whole. What they don't understand is that people like you aren't built to stay in toxic places. You gave them chances more than they deserved, and every chance was met with the same result. Disrespect, dismissal, destruction. So you left, not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of self-preservation. And that's something they'll never be able to comprehend. How you could love them so deeply yet still choose to walk away. And the beauty of it all is that walking away wasn't a loss for you. No, it was a gain. It was the moment you chose peace over chaos, growth over stagnation. While they remain stuck in the cycle of their own making, you're moving forward, shedding the weight of their toxicity like a heavy coat in spring. They'll call it selfishness, but we both know it's survival. Let them call you selfish. Let them paint you as the villain in their narrative. It doesn't matter, because their words hold no power anymore. You've stepped out of their web, untangled yourself from their lies, and now you're untouchable. They can gossip, they can sulk, they can even cry, but none of it will bring you back, and that's what truly terrifies them. They'll tell themselves that they can find someone else, someone better, but deep down, they know the truth. They'll never find another you. Not with your patience, your kindness, your strength, and every failed attempt to replace you will only deepen their regret. Because no matter how far they search, the void you left behind will remain unfilled. Oh, how they'll try to fill that void. They'll seek distractions, throw themselves into fleeting connections, chase temporary highs, but it won't work. Because the hole they're trying to fill wasn't caused by your absence, it was caused by their own actions. And until they face that truth, they'll remain trapped in the emptiness they created. Meanwhile, you'll be thriving. Not just surviving, but truly thriving. Because when you walked away, you didn't just leave them, you left behind the pain, the doubt, the insecurity they planted in you. And in its place, you've built a garden of self-worth, of joy, of freedom. They'll watch from the sidelines, yearning for a taste of the peace you've found, but it'll be out of reach. because they've lost the privilege of being part of your life. And as the years go by, their regret will only grow. Every milestone you achieve, every moment of happiness you share with the world will be a reminder of what they threw away. They'll tell themselves it's not their fault, that you were too sensitive, too demanding. But those lies will crumble under the weight of their own guilt, because the truth is undeniable. They had someone extraordinary, and they ruined it. So let them dwell in their regret. Let them feel the sting of their choices. You owe them nothing, not your forgiveness, not your attention, not even your anger. The best revenge is your indifference, your refusal to let their actions define you. And oh, how that indifference will sting. They'll reach out, of course, they always do. Whether it's an apology or a feeble attempt to rekindle what they destroyed, they'll try to claw their way back into your life. But by then you'll be so far ahead, so deeply rooted in your own happiness, that their words will fall on deaf ears. They'll beg, they'll plead, they'll promise change, but you'll know better. You'll know that change isn't born from desperation, it's born from genuine remorse, and they lack the capacity for it. Their punishment isn't just losing you, it's watching you live a life they'll never be part of. They'll see your glow, your confidence, your joy, and they'll realize that they weren't just toxic to you, they were toxic to themselves. And that realization, it'll be their heaviest burden. So let them regret. Let them mourn the loss of you. Meanwhile, you'll be rising stronger and more radiant than ever. They'll watch from afar, wishing they could turn back time, but you'll be too busy building the life you deserve to even notice. Because in the end, their biggest mistake wasn't the disrespect, the lies, or the manipulation. Their biggest mistake was thinking you'd stay. And now, as you walk away with your head held high, they're left to face the consequences of their actions. And that's justice.